Gaunt cheeks, sunken eyes, and an eerie thinness that chills the spine. Sweat beads across the forehead, breathing becomes rapid, labored, desperate. Each day, the victim withers, further drained as though some malevolent force steals their very essence. Surely this is the sinister handiwork of a vampire. In 1892, the quiet town of Exeter, Rhode Island, was engulfed in fear and suspicion. At the heart of this dark drama stood George Brown, burdened by grief and dread as his family slowly vanished before his eyes. 10 years earlier, his wife and eldest daughter succumbed to an unknown illness, quietly fading away in their beds. Initially, townsfolk offered their condolences and moved on. But when George's remaining children, his son Edwin and daughter, Mercy, showed the same haunting symptoms, whispers of something sinister spread like wildfire. The Brown family harbors a vampire. It's devouring its own kin, villagers murmured behind closed doors. Mercy's health rapidly declined, and she tragically succumbed. Edwin was now gravely ill, his life hanging by a thread. The community's fear intensified, and soon, panic erupted into full-blown hysteria. "We must find the creature in the graveyard and destroy it," they insisted, their desperation spiraling into frenzy. George, rational and heartbroken, rejected these wild superstitions, only to find suspicion turning against him. "Perhaps you're the vampire, George," they accused, pointing fingers and casting wary glances. Reluctantly, under growing pressure and accusations, George had no choice but to consent to the grim spectacle of exhuming his own family's remains. On the chilling morning of March 17, 1892, villagers assembled nervously with shovels in hand, alongside a skeptical local doctor and a journalist eager to record the macabre event. First unearthed were the remains of George's wife, Mary Eliza, and eldest daughter, Mary Olive. Their decayed skeletons provided temporary relief to the anxious crowd. However, when Mercy's coffin was opened, the air filled with terrified screams. Her body lay eerily preserved, her cheeks disturbingly plump and flushed, appearing almost alive. "She's the vampire!" someone cried, breaking the stunned silence. Driven by fear and urgency, the villagers compelled the hesitant doctor to extract Mercy's heart. Trembling, he complied. Slicing it open, fresh blood seeped forth. "Proof at last," villagers shouted, convinced they had identified the source of evil. Hastily, Mercy's remains were burned, and the ashes were force-fed to the dying Edwin, in hopes of a miraculous cure. Yet tragically, Edwin perished 2 months later. Soon after, the villagers themselves began falling victim to the same dreadful fate, succumbing to illness one after another. Only George and the doctor quietly understood the grim truth. From the 1700s through the late 19th century, New England towns repeatedly confronted similar vampire panics. The true culprit, unknown to these terrified communities, was tuberculosis, then ominously known as consumption. This invisible killer slowly drained its victims, easily spreading among family members and close neighbors, mimicking the chilling legend of vampires. New England's harsh winters played a cruel role, preserving buried bodies with unsettling freshness, fueling villagers' misguided beliefs. Even after Robert Koch identified the tuberculosis bacterium in 1882, ignorance and entrenched fears kept these tragic rituals alive. Decades later, through rigorous research, Albert Calmet and Camille Guérin developed the BCG vaccine, finally offering humanity protection from tuberculosis. Today, instead of marks from vampire fangs, many bear the faint scars of vaccination, a quiet reminder of our dark past when superstition and fear overshadowed reason and science.